In this series of lectures, we would like to discuss and to critically analyze one of the most contemporary tending philosophy of modern world, that is existentialism and the theory of alienation, as regarding that the very beginning was made by Soren Kierkegaard. So, in his works, Fear and Trembling, and also another important work of Kierkegaard is the sickness into unto death. So, existentialism as a movement is traced back to Soren Kierkegaard, and who was a Danish theologian. So, according to Kierkegaard, people believe in Christ and not because they rationally argue that he died on the cross for the redemption of the sins of humanity, but out of despair. So, Kierkegaard's main emphasis was on the theory of the subjectivity of truth, which has become the basis of the entire existentialist approach. So also we found another important existentialist, that is Friedrich Nietzsche. So in his work The Spec, Zoroaster and Beyond Good and Evil, so also the birth of tragedy and the genealogy of morals. It comes that he was the first outstanding philosopher to depict the loneliness of the individual in the universe and his inability to derive values from outside himself. So, Kierkegaard's theory of subjectivity of truth and Nietzsche's portrait of man's loneliness, the two doctrines on which the basis of existentialism rest, and Jean-Paul Sartre is regarded as the leading apostle of contemporary existentialism, though we found the traces of existentialism in the writings and philosophies of Franz Kafka and Albert Camus. So, in the works Being and Nothingness and the Age of Reason and the Myth of Sisyphus, Jean-Paul Sartre laid the foundation of the modern theory of existentialism. The existentialists tried to find a basis for human values within the human condition itself, but since they took pride in being secular and modern, they refused to depend on religious authority or historicism. Their emphasis was on emotion, feeling, and sensory experience. In a sense, right, Professor Meehan, existentialism was a reaction against scientific rationalism, depersonalization, totalitarianism, systems and dogmas, all assumed to be connected. Existentialism writes as Sir Edward MacNeil Barnes as deeply by the increasing depersonalization of man, They see him degrade into an object among objects, a mere speck of dust in a cosmic machine. For this degradation, they hold not only science and technology responsible, but the whole complex cities of modern industrialism, to say nothing of mechanist and rationalist philosophies. The emphasis is therefore on man as against the environment. It is man who makes himself rather than environment making him. Man is not a fungus as or cauliflower as Sartre puts it figuratively, rigidly determined by the conditions of his environments. He can choose and make himself must be. He proposes to be. He experiences and acts and creates his own values by living and by choosing. He is fully responsible for his own actions. This is the basic existential thesis. Man, according to the existentialist, is a passionate, not a thinking animal. His so called rational conclusions being the product almost exclusively of his feelings, prejudices, emotions, and experiences. The life of man has no inherent significance except the significance that man himself attaches to it. Values do not exist independently of individuals or apart from their life experiences. They are created by men, and it is for them to decide whether they would like to live by them. So, this is the very meaning of existentialism. So, as regarding the individual has to remain so busy in the pursuit of the vocation that he hardly gets time to look within himself and think of the quality of his own life, meeting each other in factory or workshop or in a crowd, commuting or agitating, he finds himself more and more isolated and alienated from society, an alienation which is not only from his work, as Marx had tried to point out in his earlier writings, but alienation from society, alienation from the state, alienation from those with whom he is working, and alienation even from himself. So, this is how the political organization itself is so highly centralized and formal that even if the individual by its efforts succeed in reaching fairly high in the career scale, he is still nothing more than a cog in the machinery and can hardly hope to influence its working. Most individuals, however, continues to languish in the lower scales of the hierarchy. At the same time, old groups like familiar community with which he was able to spend some time in joy and recreation in the past are all getting rapidly disorganized. This alienation and estrangement of the individual from the surroundings has made him restless outside his own society and state, and there is hardly a day when he does not read in the newspaper with a sense of personal pride that a conflict situation had led to a minor war in this or that part of the world, which might ultimately engulf his own country, however strong it may be within itself. The individual thus remains in a state of continuous anxiety and worry. So, this is how the very theories of alienation developed out of existentialism. So, as regarding that, we found the very theory of subjectivity of truth as developed by Soren Kiekegaard, the very founder of existentialism, in his works The Fear and Trembling and the Sickness unto Death, and how it was carried out by Friedrich Nietzsche in his work Das Fact, Zarathustra and Beyond Good and Evil, so also in his work The Birth of Tragedy and the Genealogy of Morals. So there he mentioned about loneliness of the individual in the universe. And as regarding that, man makes himself rather than environment, making him as said by Jean-Paul Sartre in his monumental work The Myth of Sisyphus. And also he wrote about another two important works, Being and Nothingness, so also The Age of Reason. And as we found the very trace of existentialism and the loneliness of individuals in Franz Kafka's immemorial novels The Trial and The Castle. So we found the traces of loneliness and existentialism and alienation in the monumental works of Albert Camus in Plague and the Revel. So it was a reaction against scientific rationalism, depersonalization of man, against the whole complex of modern industrialism, and also against totalitarianism systems and dogmas. So they emphasized on emotion, feeling, and sensory experience. So their approach is secular and modern. So they refuse to depend on religious authorities or historicism. So Friedrich Nietzsche went one step forward and became the most announced and pronounced rebel among the existentialists to openly declare that God is dead. So we have completed the introduction regarding the origin and development of existentialism as a contemporary philosophy in our modern society with theories of alienation. So in our next upcoming video we would like to discuss in detail about the theories of alienation.